This whole thing began with Archer just suddenly tweeting out that apparently it's like revealed massive news about one of the parents of the Straw Hats, right? Which is immediately, well, this is very fitting, right? 500,000 views. I woke up and I was like, what do you mean? Is this another time where like Zoro's entire backstory is revealed on a goddamn Vivre card and not in the actual story itself? Or rather in an SBS? Same deal, basically. And I was like, what? And then this drops, right? The timeline of Queen's life. Why are we looking at the timeline of Queen's life? Because it strongly seems to imply that Queen is Franky's father. Timeline of his life. 39 years ago, worked in Mads. 36 years ago, had a child. 33 years ago, got an offer to join Kaido. 29 years ago, leave Mads. 26 years ago, Mads is bought by the world government. 26 years ago, abandons his son, joins Kaido under the name of Queen. I have no idea what the purpose of this is. How this even makes sense. Because, like, how does Franky, at the age of 10, not remember what his dad looks like? I have so many questions about this. This whole thing is so weird. I don't know if there is meant to be some sort of long-term connection here between, like, Vegapunk and Vegapunk's technology and Franky, maybe? Like, through the Mads connection? But this is such a weird piece of information that I've got no clue. I saw Martin was asking about whether or not, because I don't know about this either. Martin in the Littlewood, let me see. He was asking the same thing I was wondering. Basically just asking whether or not this kind of stuff ever has long-term impacts, right? And I don't think he's gotten a response, just not sure. I don't know what to think of this, what this means, and what I should be... Because I'm gonna be real with you. My tweet in response to this summarizes this quite well. But why? What's the point? Because I feel like one of the trends with, like, not revealing the Straw Hats as pirates has always been very deliberate with Oda, right? They're like, their parents don't matter if they're not around. If they've never been around, the crew just doesn't care about them because they're not very good parents, you know? I don't think he's Franky's dad. If he was, it would have been mentioned in Wano. Why withhold that information? Yeah, I've got no idea. I've got absolutely no idea. The duality of man. Yeah, I don't think Queen is his dad. It's probably true, but it won't matter. You see what I mean? That's how confusing this piece of information is. If it is true, then... But why? And if it's not true, then why does it seem to imply that? I am so very confused by this. I think this is one of those things that I don't really care about. And if it is true, then it's like, I don't see why, how it would be withheld from us beforehand. That's like the thing that I get stuck up on. Because if it were true, I just cannot see it not being mentioned in some way. Or even alluded to in Wano. Right? Because like with Zoro, yeah, we didn't get to see like any concrete story with Zoro. But obviously with Zoro, most of Wano was implied to be like his roots. Right? You didn't have to be a genius to figure out that something on Wano is to do with Zoro's heritage. With Franky, this makes no sense. So the only thing that sort of makes sense in my mind is if Oda wants to set up like some sort of basically if Franky is in some way important in a way that we don't know yet. But at the same time, I just don't see Oda doing that through like a Vivre card. I think that would be disappointing to a lot of people. Franky becomes the new Vegapunk. I wouldn't even be surprised if it is like implying something like that, yeah. Because like you want to establish a connection because obviously Franky has already been in Vegapunk's labs, right? That's like my headcanon. Ever since we first saw him poke around in Vegapunk's lab, I always thought that there would be a massive deal with Franky specifically and the information he possesses, right? Because he already has like the schematics on the ancient weapon. But this is still weird. Even if you want to establish some sort of concrete link between them in terms of like a actual family link, I don't see Oda doing this. What's a Vivre card? They are basically like additional bits of information on the characters, right? You can see all of them basically on Archer's account. He covers literally all of them. This is like a template, basically. It gives you the name, his birthday, the age, the height, the origin, and like a bunch of random information. It's like fun facts about a certain character. Sometimes they are important. Sometimes. Most of the time, for example, as you see here, it's not really that important. I think for most people, it's just getting the actual name of the fruits, usually. That's like the most important thing for most people, I think. Who actually writes these Vivre cards? I've got no idea. I've got no idea whether or not it's Oda, or it's like an editor, or it's someone helping him. But I wouldn't be surprised if most of this is Oda in terms of sketching out characters, because I genuinely think that, like, the world of One Piece has so many characters that I don't know what Oda would do without, like, a wiki, you know? You can see this, by the way, in a lot of books. You'll see that the characterization, well, not the characterization, but the appearance of characters can sometimes be inconsistent. And it's inconsistent for the simple reason of like, their appearances just getting jumbled up in the author's brain. It's hard to manage, like, a 600-page book and be like, oh, he had 3 strands of hair coming out of, I don't know, and he was slightly off color, right? Like, I know Tyrion's in Game of Thrones, in the Game of Thrones books, Tyrion's appearance is inconsistent a lot of the time. But it is what it is. Oda Franky doesn't care about the blood family, more found family. And that's what I mean, right? That's why I think, like people talk about Luffy's mom, and they talk about, like, Nami's parents, and they talk about all this stuff, and I feel like revealing them would almost be like a betrayal, you know? Because I think, like, one of the most beautiful things in these, like, found family stories is, not really caring about your biological parents, because they didn't care about you, clearly. You know? But I don't know. It's a very weird development. It's a very, very weird development. Oh, and another thing this confirmed is that the dude died. Right? So Kaido actually killed him. I do wonder whether or not there is some sort of meaning behind this. Like, whether or not there's some sort of, like, Nika unit of some sort. I just realized that Sanji, who seems to have no relationship with Franky, beat up Franky's dad. It creates a lot of very weird implications, yes. I guess it would be fitting that, like, Sanji is once again fighting back against like a dude who left his son behind. You know, it would be fitting, but at the same time, like, why? What's the purpose of that? It seems redundant to me. But I don't know, if Oda is cooking something, we'll have to wait and see. Outside of that, though, I don't really put a lot of stock in this. I really don't. But that's the Vivre card news.